Let's just sell it. Actually, it's
For another 20, 30 bucks.
Call the November 5th Broken Arrow City Council meeting to order. Communication, please.
Let's bow our heads for a word of prayer. Father God, as we open this city council meeting tonight, we pray that your hand would be upon all the decisions that will be made tonight. We thank you for your protection over the city of Broken Arrow and all its citizens, as well as those that serve to keep this city great. We ask these things in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Wimpy,
Here.
Parks,
Here.
Lester,
Here.
Udi,
Here.
Thurman.
Here. Please stand and join Vice Mayor Udi in the pledge to the flag.
Attention, salute, pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next is the consent agenda. Are there any items that need to be removed?
Move for approval of the consent agenda.
Second?
Got a motion second. Roll call, please.
Wimpy,
Yes.
Parks,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Udi,
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes. Next is public hearings, appeals, presentation, recognitions, and awards. We have a certificate of recognition for citizens and employees for life-saving and heroic efforts presented by myself, I guess. Thor.
Good evening. I'd like to recognize a few of our citizens for heroic efforts that happened on October 4th at the Central Park Community Center. I'd like to call down a few people, if you don't mind, at this time. Do you, certificate of recognitions? Do you want me to read them, or would you like to read them, Mr. Mayor?
If you want to read and present them, I will be happy to present them, but
Okay.
if you want to read off the names and have them come down and I'll present them to them.
So during a pickleball tournament, we had a gentleman have a heart attack, and it was dispatched to our Broken Arrow Fire Department. They were dispatched quickly. I believe it was around 4.5 minutes or so. It took them to get there. Great response time. The first person that recognized the situation was Mr. Bowling. His name is Bill Bolin. If you wouldn't mind coming down. Bill called 911 and started the situation off right by recognizing what had happened. The next person that was in contact with the victim was also Jerry Farland and Patty Pitcock. They also performed life-saving measures, as well as Jill Fitz. If you guys wouldn't mind coming down. Just stand right over here by Bill, if you don't mind. And then there was also, it got to the situation that AED had to be used. And you never want to get to that situation, but an automated external defibrillator. And then, so we had all these individuals that participated in this, and as well as Tanner Wilburn, that retrieved the AED from the front desk, and myself. We all performed some type of life-saving measures, and I'd just like to recognize everyone that played a part in this. For me personally, it was my first time ever performing any type of CPR or life-saving measures. For some of these individuals, it's not their first time. I'm very thankful to have Jerry Farland. He has done this several times. He was very cool and calm. Miss Patty Pitcock was also very cool and calm, and it looked like she's done this before, so I greatly appreciate all that. And Ms. Fitz, she stepped in immediately and carried out some great work as well. And I just greatly, greatly appreciate you. The man that they did save is doing very well. He is at home now and doing very well. And I know that Ms. Pitts and Ms. Fitz, Pitcock, and Ms. Fitz checked on him, and he is doing excellent. So at this time, would you like to present their awards to him? Here's Bill.
Thank you.
Ms. Timmons.
That's yours.
Oh, yeah, that was mine. Jill? Ms. Patty.
I'm getting ready to comment.
If you will.
Yeah, come back up and get a picture.
We don't do school pictures.
I was going to say, I've known Jill and Patty. They've taught with my wife for many years, so I'm sure it's that experience in the elementary classroom that prepared them for this.
Actually taught the gifted kids how to do this. It's been great. It's the truth.
Thank you.
By the way, Pat Lester is the better half.
No argument after me.
That is on record.
That's on record. Yeah.
Thank you. Next, we have item 7B, presentation of the financial statements for the first quarter of fiscal year 2019 general fund. Tom Cook.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. Hope y'all are doing well this evening. It is beneficial for the City Council to review the financial status of the city on a regular basis. And so I have to share with you this evening the results of the first quarter of fiscal year 2019. And I will preface it by saying they are good results for the first quarter of 2019. As you can see on the slide above, this is the general fund. Total sales tax is $9.5 million roughly, and that is $733,000 over our budgeted amount. If you'll scroll down. Bringing our total current revenues for the first quarter to $15,862,000, which is $1.3 million above the budgeted amount. Scroll down. Our total current expenditures are $4.2 million. We had transfers out of $9.8 million, resulting in revenues over expenditures of $1.85 million. And I did want to share with you, Cindy had thought this would be a good idea for y'all to see. This is by NAICS code, NAICS, I think is the vernacular. It's North American Industry Classification System, and so it's by type of trade. And as you can see, retail trade makes up 56% of our sales tax. And so just wanted to share that with you and to help emphasize the point that shopping local, doing all you can to ensure that the city of Broken Arrow receives its sales tax dollars is extremely important to us. Next, please. This is Fund 44, which is the police sales tax fund. And as you can see, they have current revenues of $588,000, transfers in, if you're just a little bit down, of $5.584, and that's from the general fund. Their total current expenditures are $4.7 million. They have capital outlay of $112,000 so far this year, resulting in a net income of $1.292 million. Next is the Fund 45, which is our public sales tax fund, fire. They have $581,000 in current revenues. Again, they have transfers in a little bit less because they do not receive the direct 911 funds of $4.5 million. They have current expenditures of $4.278 million, capital outlay of $55,000, excuse me, resulting in a net income of $767,000. Next is STCI. STCI's to year to date has received $1.9 million in sales tax revenue, and we have spent on capital projects $1.2 million. Cindy did want me to point out to you though that that's on a cash basis. We have in contract and encumbered additional, but currently we have raised our fund balance in there to 9.03. But we do have, I looked today just to make sure, about $3 million in encumbered contracts in that fund. But it is a positive fund so far this year also. And then last is BAMA. BAMA has charges for services, which is our primary revenue source, of $12.679 million of a total of $13,080,000 in revenue. But unlike the other funds, so far this year, if you scroll back down a little bit, Mike, you can see other way, up, I guess. For charges for service, BAMA is below budget of $408,000, and predominantly, if you scroll down up a little bit more, you can see that water revenue is below projections by about $300,000. And you know, we had one of those summers where it didn't necessarily rain a lot, but it rained at inappropriate times, because I know even personally, every time I was about to flip my sprinklers on, we'd get a shower and I would not have to do it as frequently. Now you can scroll down, thank you. You can see that BAMA has current expenditures of $7.8 million, and then they have net of loan proceeds and transfers for capital outlay. That brings total available for debt service to $10.5 million. Debt service payments have been $7.6, and currently we are over, revenues are over expenditures in BAMA by $2.8 million for the fiscal year so far. And I would be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of Tom?
I just may say is that before we do any hand-wringing about extra funds, just keep in mind that it is the first quarter of the year, and while things are very positive, we still have 3 quarters of the year, fiscal year to go, and that obviously with the economy being very good, we do have some funds to be able to pay for the projects and to cover the expenses that we have for sure for the current fiscal year.
As a finance person, I would say amen to that.
Thank you, Tom. Next is 8, citizen opportunity to address the council on topics not related to city that's not on the agenda. There is no one signed up, so we'll move to item 9, general council business. 9A, consideration, discussion, and possible approval to proceed with the development of construction documents for Phase 1 of the Creative Arts Center. Mr. Spurgeon.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. Good evening. I'm pretty excited to have this on the agenda this evening. As the council members know, Broken Arrow voters stepped up and approved a bond several years ago to help fund the Center for Arts, Innovation, and Creativity, and then the City Council dedicated a portion of the vision surplus to be able to complete what we now know as Phase 1. And the direction from the City Council a couple of years ago, and then more specifically last year, was in order for us to move forward, we need to make sure that operational funds are secured to be able to fund the annual budget needed for the day-to-day operations of the facility. Here tonight is Mark Fry to give you an update and to ask the council for permission to move forward with the capital portion of Phase 1. There are a lot of folks that are part of the board and are interested about this project, so I'm looking forward to turning it over to Mark.
Thank you all. Good evening. It's a night that for the arts community in Broken Arrow, it's an exciting time. It's also a time we weren't sure if we were going to get here or not. So we're thrilled to be standing before you, and just want to thank the Arts OK board members who are in attendance, as well as the committee that was formed to look at the feasibility of a creative arts center in downtown Broken Arrow. And to everyone's credit involved, we did not want to proceed with this project until we felt confident that we had the operational stability to do so. So about 7 months ago, I was tasked with trying to raise $1.5 million for a 3-year operating budget to get us off the ground, and I'm happy tonight to report to you that we are currently at $2.98 million. 1.5 of that coming in years 1, 2, and 3, and then 1.4 and change coming in years 4 through 10. And in my opinion, that gives us great stability and a great start to do what we need to do for Broken Arrow. As with any nonprofit arts group, the fundraising will never stop. For any type of program like this, and for everything that Arts OK tries to do in the community of Broken Arrow, that is one of my main duties, is to continue to raise not only funds but also awareness of what the arts can do in the community. And if any of you are going over to the stadium a little bit later tonight, I think that's another powerful expression of what the arts can do for Broken Arrow. And I also want to make sure that you all are aware, and the audience is aware, that none of this would have happened without the incredible commitment and support by AVB Bank. What they are doing with their land and donating the land and paying to have it, the survey and have it demoed, and then deeding the land back over. That is tremendous help to us, and Kelly Rash and her 10-year commitment to the project as well. And this is going to be a center that will, in my opinion, be the hub for a lot of different things in the Rose District. I think it'll be a great place for people to come and visit on a daily basis. It's going to be one of those centers that's going to have a phased approach where there'll be something different at 10 a.m. than there will be at 10 p.m. And I really hope that it's something that not only our citizens, but those who travel here to see a show at the Performing Arts Center or for business in Broken Arrow will take advantage of what we have to offer. So it's an exciting time, but we as Arts OK, which will be the entity that manages the day-to-day operations of the facility, we are very confident that we are at a place now that we could recommend that we move forward with this.
Just after looking at this and working with Mark and the members of the board and staff, I do recommend that council authorize moving forward with phase 1. I believe that they've secured the operational funding, which was the directive of the council, and if you approve that, then we will re-engage the architect to complete the what I call plans and specifications, the layout for the phase 1, and Mark will come back to the council to show you that, to make sure that the governing body is good to go with what's being presented. And once you are, then we would get with engineering construction, and then we would schedule the public bid. And what I'm hoping is that we'll be able to complete that process and go out to bid sometime next summer. I may be a little too aggressive in my thought process, but I would like to get this out to bid for sure in the summer of 2019.
Mark, do you mind sharing what kind of activities you see happening at the center?
Sure. So the space will be designed for several different things. From a visual arts standpoint, there will be all kinds of arts classes, watercolor, pottery. We're trying to design where both a dirty maker space for all the things where you get your hands dirty and make some great things. We see that being continuing education opportunities during the day, and then after school activities. And one of those things that I'm very excited about and passionate about, working with Kristen Chenoweth. Once this is built, this center will become the home of the Kristen Chenoweth After School Program, which will be a 5-day-a-week after-school program that will serve our underserved students in our community. That will give them access to the arts, but also give them access to other social and health services that may be needed. And we're going to feed them a hot meal before they go home. And then once the kiddos leave the building, then we transition to evening activities with a gallery for showings and rentable space for any type of social activities. And it's really going to be one of those buildings. I'm getting tired a little bit just talking about it, but it's going to be one of those buildings that's really going to be open all the time. I think it's great also that there'll be a presence right there on Main Street for our CVB and our tourism department as well. And I think it's a great collaboration and partnership.
As I look at this list of donors, I assume most of them are not Broken Arrow residents, but are patrons of the arts.
Yeah, and I think that's another great thing that speaks to the power of what Broken Arrow has done in the arts. If you look at the list of our funders, there are only 3 local donors. There are no donors from Tulsa, and that's a sermon for another time. The rest of our donors come from all over the state of Oklahoma, primarily from the arts supporters in the Oklahoma City area. They believe in what we're doing here. We've started a great partnership with Allied Arts Corporation in Oklahoma City, and we look forward to continuing growing that and seeing what we can do together to bring the 2 strongest arts groups in the state together.
You know, as we made decisions through the Rose District, I always knew this was, in my mind, was at the forefront. And over the last few years, I've asked the city manager certainly to keep us updated exactly where we were at, because I feel like that it will certainly enhance the Rose District. But the decisions that I made was knowing that someday that was going to be there, kind of the center hub from there. So I was excited to see that it was on the agenda, that was coming back in. So I think it's great for Broken Arrow. I think it's great for the downtown area.
I agree. Thank you.
Well, you deserve, you deserve kudos too, Mark, because you carried the water on this for several years and done a yeoman job.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Well, and much like Councilor Parks, I've supported this for a very long time, and I was growing worried when we were having some concerns we couldn't fund it. So it excites me to see that, and all the work that's been done to make this happen. And I'm, of course, now want to see it happen next Tuesday if we can. but well done. I think.
Thank you.
I know the work that's gone into this, and well done.
Appreciate that.
I think this is a great project, something, again, that we've worked on for a long time, and the council has supported, and it's something we've really, it's important for our community to do. And it's going to be exciting to have something open in the evenings. We had discussion about it, having something that people can do and see, and not only will attract people to Broken Arrow, from something for our citizens to do, but someone from the whole state and the whole area can come and see what we're doing here in Broken Arrow. So it's exciting.
As I look at this rendering, though, I don't see where size recreation window is going.
Or the
It's
what?
going in size recreation that was in the bank building.
Oh.
It's going in a prominent place, is it not?
Sure. Let me ask my friend from Seltzer Shaker on that
See, I remember when size was actually there.
Yeah.
Never went in.
I just asked a question. So is the existing building there, is it going to all be demolished or just part of it? Or
Yes, it'll be taken down to dirt.
Completely?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Councilman, ABB currently has some portion of their operations center there, and in speaking to Mr. Cundiff, is that they're going to have to look to timing-wise to find another location, and they're looking obviously somewhere in this area to try to keep the synergies here, but that's something we got to work around in terms of them relocating their operation, and they are currently looking, so we got to, timing-wise, we got to work with them on that. And then legal will work with ABB as well as Mark in terms of the use agreement that we would need, as well as the agreement to have the property deeded to the city for ownership. We'll clear all those hurdles as we move forward if council authorizes it this evening.
Okay.
I'd make a motion to approve that we proceed with development of construction documents for Phase 1 of the Creative Arts Center project.
Second.
A motion, a couple seconds. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Wimpy,
Yes.
Parks?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Udi?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
that.
Okay, item 9B, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of PUD 189C, Highland 55 at Mission Hills. Larry Curtis.
Mayor, Council, Larry Curtis, Plan Development Manager for the City of Broken Arrow. Very tough act to follow, so we'll try. But Plan Unit Development PUD 189C involves 19.68 acre parcel located north of Albany Street, 1/3 mile west of 9th Street. Property is part of PUD 189 and has an underlying zoning of RM residential multifamily. PUD 189, which contains 53.75 acres, was approved by City Council on June 3rd, 2008, subject to the property being platted. The 53.75 acres associated with PUD 189 was divided into 3 development areas, A, B, and C. Development Area A, which contained 31.87 acres has been developed into Mission Hills Apartments. In Development Area B, which contained 13.8 acres, the permitted use was identified as those permitted as a matter of right within the residential multifamily district and is currently associated with that permitted use. In Development Area C, which contained 8.09 acres, the permitted use was identified as those permitted in the CG Commercial General District. PUD 189C applicant is proposing to encompass 5.82 acres of Development Area C into the 13.80 acres associated with Development Area B. This development is primarily to develop 98 duplex dwelling units onto one lot. This will be a reduction from 266 proposed dwelling units for multifamily dwelling. None of the property is located within the 100-year floodplain area. The property associated with PUD 189C is shown to be in the Comprehensive Plan Level 3. The development proposed with PUD 189C is considered to be in compliance with the Comprehensive Plan. The development proposed with this PUD amendment is for a private gated neighborhood. Currently, the only access allowed to the property is from the Fargo Street through Lynn Lane Village and Country Lane neighborhoods to the north. As a part of this PUD, it is specifically recognized that this access to Fargo Street to the north will be restricted as an emergency access only. The main vehicular access to the development will be from the south through the access easement that will connect to Albany Street and align with 3rd Street. The Planning Commission, in their meeting of October 11, 2008, concurred with staff and recommended approval by a vote of 3-0 PUD 189C. 5 people spoke in with concerns associated with this development, particularly around the pipeline that is located to the north, increase in storm runoff, access to who would be living there, age restrictions associated with the development, crime in the area, the projected start date, impact of property values, loss of wildlife and open space, and construction of traffic through the neighborhood to the north, which, like stated, no construction traffic will be allowed through the neighborhood. Staff recommends that PUD 189C be approved as recommended by Planning Commission and staff. The applicant is here, and I'm here also to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions of Larry or the applicant?
It'll be a good project.
It is. I will say that the applicant has been very accommodating. There were many things that had to be accomplished through this process, and the applicant was very willing to work with staff in trying to find the best fit and the best product for this area.
I'd make a motion to approve PUD 189C as recommended by the Planning Commission and staff.
Second?
Motion is second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Wimpy,
Yes.
Parks,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Udi,
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes. Okay, item 9C, consider as discussion of possible approval of an authorization to execute fiscal year 2018-19 collective bargaining agreement with the IAFF 2551.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, City Manager Spurgeon. My name is Mark Stewart. I'm your Assistant Fire Chief. Thank you for the opportunity to present the proposed 2018-2019 collective bargaining agreement with the local. The city negotiation team began contract negotiations in March of 2018 with the International Association of Firefighters, Local 2551, with the fiscal year 2018-2019 labor agreement. The negotiation team consisted of Michael Bates, Chief Jeremy Moore, Cindy Arnold, and Jeanette McCormick. Ironically, our negotiation team is out of town attending some training for labor negotiations. On October 4th, the bargaining teams reached a tentative agreement. The IAFF membership ratified the proposed agreement on October 31st of this year. A brief overview of the changes. Within the collective bargaining agreement, administrative revisions were made to the overtime, callback, and drug and alcohol testing articles. Within the administrative operating procedures, administrative revisions were made to the special events and grooming AOP policies. College tuition reimbursement will be raised from $1,000 to $1,200 per semester if the employee earns a C or better. a 2.5% base wage increase for all bargaining unit members effective July 1 of 2018, and an additional 2.5 wage increase for all bargaining unit members effective January 1st, 2019. The parties have agreed to consider the Bennett arbitration, quote, make whole award, unquote, on special events to have been satisfied and resolved as part of this agreement with no further financial impact owed by the city to any employee. Staff recommends that the council approve a collective bargaining agreement with the International Association of Firefighters Local 2551 and authorize its execution. I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Any questions of Mark?
I make a motion we approve the collective bargaining agreement with the International Association of Firefighters, Local 2551, for fiscal year 2018-19, and authorize its execution.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Wimpy,
Yes.
Parks,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Udi,
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes. Item 9D, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of and authorization to execute resolution number 1164. Farhad?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As you know, every 10 years, the decennial census takes place, and the next one will be April of 2020. To achieve a complete count, the U.S. Census Bureau and the Department of Commerce recommends that communities form a complete count committee and take action and other events between now and the actual census to get a complete count. The resolution before the council is to support that decennial census that'll be taking place a year and a half from now. As you all know, the census is fairly important for each person that's counted in our city. Besides redistricting, the federal tax dollars, and so forth. A recent study, I was really surprised to see, that puts in that every person that's counted, based on federal tax dollars that are spread throughout the country, each person gets, or at least an equivalent of, $1,675. So for those municipalities that have a count of 100 more or 100 less, it amounts to $167,000. That's the impact that takes place. The census figures are approved every 10 years, but its legacy and effect of it lasts for several years thereafter. So it's a really important thing that happens every 10 years, and we'll be back next year with some other action and so forth. With the Census Bureau from their Oklahoma City office, Ms. Tricia Woodward is here tonight. She's coming from Oklahoma City to receive the proclamation and the resolution for the council to approve that. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions of Farhad?
Make a motion to approve resolution 1164 and authorize its execution.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Wimpy,
Yes.
Parks,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Udi,
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes. Okay, item 10 is preview ordinances. There are none. 11 is ordinances. There are none. Number 12 is remarks and inquiries by governing body members. Any remarks or inquiries?
I would, as tomorrow is election day, I want to urge everybody to be sure and get out and vote. And beyond that, since tomorrow's election day, and that comes fresh on mind, I wanted to use tonight to announce that I will be running for re-election next time. And though our elections aren't till April, with the holidays coming up, I just wanted to be up and running by the first of the year. So I am announcing tonight that I will be seeking re-election. I don't know if you can put up with me, but I'm like a bad penny.
I was just going to remind everyone that the Pride of Broken Arrow is doing a send-off at 9 p.m. So we need to wrap it up. Just kidding. The gates open at 8:30, but they are their show this year is called The United States of America, and it's the most amazing show I think they've done so far. So if you can make it out there, please do.
Yes, we saw it last week. It's a great show, so everyone that can make it. And I do think we're going to be done tonight. We've got a very, very quick meeting tonight, so I think we'll be out of here, so everybody can make it to that show.
I have a comment to make also, and it's a tough comment for me because I'm not a politician, especially going after this election. You just hate to think about being in politics. but I'm one of the 3 councilmen that are up for reelection. This will be the 7th time that I've looked at this to see and if I wanted to continue serving, and cases look to see if the citizens would want me to continue serving. Certainly, my family goes into it with a lot of prayer. I do have a lot of areas. I think that to keep a quality city, there's several things that we need to keep going on. The bond issue, and it just seems like there's just too many loose ends, and I'm getting a positive feedback from my support group. So I also am announcing that I'm going to run for city council again for a council seat at large.
Well, I hate to be left out. No, much like Councilman Parks, and I know Councilman Lester as well, that deciding to run for a position that is a volunteer position that takes up a lot of time, and while at the same time allows you to do something you truly enjoy, which is to serve the people and the citizens and the community you love, it takes a lot of prayerful thought. And there is always that question, is do people want me to again? But I think at this point, just because I don't want to feel left out, I'll go ahead and announce that I do also intend to seek re-election in April. And it's such a pleasure to serve with this group of people and the people who work in the city. And it's really, there's a lot of work still to be done, I think. And I think if the people agree with me, I look forward to getting to be a part of that work.
You know, I've told people, and we do a lot of serious work, but I believe I do this because it's fun. When it quits being fun is when I'll quit being done. So I won't do it anymore. Everybody knows I like to have fun. There's a time to be serious, and I think this council does a lot of serious work, and we've done a lot of good for the city. So I appreciate everybody's support. Thank you.
Well, I really feel left out because I have nothing to announce. So I will, if there's nothing else, we'll move on to remarks and updates by the city manager.
Okay. Mayor, Council, good evening, members. My city manager report, I just have a couple of things. I do have an announcement. As the council members know, we have a new city attorney, officially. It was my pleasure to offer the position to Trevor Dennis, and he gladly accepted the position last week, and I wanted to publicly announce that Trevor Dennis is our city attorney, and I wanted to tell everybody just a little bit about Trevor. His bio, the summation of it is that Trevor graduated from Kansas State University with a Bachelor of Science in History. Following graduation and 2 years working in the mailroom of a Tulsa law firm, Trevor entered law school at the University of Tulsa, from which he graduated with the highest honors in 2003. Trevor worked in private practice as a trial lawyer for 7 years before coming to work for the City of Broken Arrow as the Assistant City Attorney in 2010. Trevor was promoted to Deputy City Attorney in 2015 and served as the Acting City Attorney from April of this year through October of this year. Trevor has successfully represented the City of Broken Arrow in litigation in both state and federal court, and is a graduate of the 2017 Leadership Broken Arrow class. Trevor and Chrissy, their wife of eight years, have 2 daughters. And so I can tell you, Trevor, I believe he is the right person to lead our law department. I'm very happy to have a part of my leadership team. I know the council is as well, so welcome aboard, Trevor. Next, I just want to let the council know that I believe at the end of this month, the 3rd edition of the Thrive newsletter, financial newsletter, is on the drawing boards and should be out to every household in the community. And I wanted to make sure that the one page that we had regarding the taxation, about making sure that both Union and Bixby was something we all heard about last year, that's going to be emphasized to make sure that all 3 of our school districts. I'm also excited about the fact that they're a listing of all the projects that we're going to be completing, already underway right now, will be completed in this fiscal year. So look for that in your household sometime towards the end of this month or early next month. The next item is, I'm very excited about this as well, even though I won't be able to attend them, unfortunately, is the pilot program open houses are going to be on the 13th and 14th of November, respectively, for both of the pilot programs that the city council in your capacity as the authority said we are moving forward with. Both pilot program participants have been notified. I'm expecting that we'll have a great turnout for both of those initiatives, and then we'll move forward once again sometime in late January, early February of next year. We'll actually kick off the pilot programs. This month, just wanted to mention in the Focus newsletter, as you know, we've been doing an insert about a various city operation. This year it's about our Development Services Department. So you'll be able to see some information about our development services. Michael Skates is our director, and there's a lot of great information about development services and all that's happening within our community. That spotlight, I think, just helps with the transparency if folks know who our directors are and what they do. And the final thing I want to mention, because the council members have asked about it and so has the public, is that we are continuing to look at the consulting services for the intersection of Elm Place and New Orleans. That is something that I think we have a once-in-a-lifetime type opportunity to try to reinvest and redevelop that intersection. What's prompted that discussion is the fact that you have an application before the Planning Commission for the possible use of the old Hobby Lobby space. And as a result of that is generated what I consider to be a tremendous amount of interest about what's the best and highest use of that. And I think the council's decision to look at getting a consultant was an outstanding idea, and I think it's, in the long term, it really comes down to the city has money available to do a public-private partnership, which the council knows when you put the public dollars and the private dollars together, you know what you get? You get the Rose District.
Yeah.
Okay? The challenge that I believe we have, and I want to state it publicly, is I believe the city's doing its due diligence. We don't own one piece of property on any of those corners, and we can't bring one business to this community. We're dependent upon the private sector. And it's going to take the private sector to be able to make this work. And so this month, staff members led by our economic development manager are going to be visiting with the council members to get you update individually on the study. And then we're going to be reaching out to the owners again to find out what needs to happen in order for them to be able to make the investments. Because we can have the best plan that there is, and we can commit $2 to $3 million for intersection improvements, relocating the utilities underground, many other things. However, if they're not willing to make the investments in their properties, it's going to be extremely difficult for the city to be able to actually complete this revitalization of the intersection. So we continue those discussions. Norm Stevens is going to lead those discussions with everyone. And then finally is that I've given Russell Gale, he'll be acting he's assistant city manager, will be acting as acting city manager for the next 3 weeks. I've given him direction along with Norm Stevens to begin the negotiations for a new contract with the Economic Development Corporation. And the goal is to bring that agreement to the city council in your capacity as the authority for the first meeting in December for a preview of that agreement. Trevor's going to write the agreement when he gets the information back from Russell, with the goal of hopefully being able to adopt the new economic development agreement before the end of the year. So with that, I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have.
And next time we'll see you, you'll be bionic, right?
That's right. That's exactly right. I'll need a note to pass through the metal detector.
Any questions, City Manager? Okay, I would entertain a motion. We do have a executive session, so I would entertain a motion for a brief recess to go into Beta and Bama.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, discussion. Roll call, please.
Wimpy,
Yes.
Parks,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Udi,
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes. Call the Broken Arrow Municipal Authority meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Wimpy,
Here.
Parks,
Here.
Lester,
Here.
Udi,
Here.
Thurman.
Here. Item 3 is consideration of consent agenda. Are there any items to be removed?
Move for approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion second. Roll call, please.
Wimpy,
Yes.
Parks,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Udi,
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes. There's no public hearings, general authority business, or executive session.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion second. Roll call, please.
Wimpy,
Yes.
Parks,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Udi,
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes. I will call the Broken Arrow Economic Development Authority meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Wimpy,
Here.
Parks,
Here.
Lester,
Here.
Udi,
Here.
Thurman.
Here. Item 3 is consideration of the consent agenda. Are there any items to be removed?
Move for approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion second. Roll call, please.
Wimpy,
Yes.
Parks,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Duty,
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes. There's no general authority business, no executive session.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second?
Motion is second. Roll call, please.
Wimpy,
Yes.
Parks,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Duty,
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes. We're back in regular council meeting. I would entertain a motion for a brief recess so we can go into executive session.
So moved.
Second?
Motion is second. Roll call, please.
Wimpy,
Yes.
Parks,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Duty,
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes.